we're kicking off Pittsburgh Fashion Week today, September 21st, with a welcome from Mayor Peduto, which was so excellent to have his support in all of this, John.
Let me tell you something. There wouldn't be a fashion alliance. There wouldn't be a summit. There wouldn't be Fashion Week to the level it is without the mayor. He's been a partner. We're going to kick off the evening with a tutorial from a designer named Brian David. And he's going to show, his tutorial will be about how to put different types of zippers into your clothing.
Oh, cool.
And that's going to be interesting because, believe it or not, you know, a lot of designers either don't know how to sew or not great sewers. So this will be a learning experience for those that have an interest in sewing or designing or whatever. And so we're looking forward to that. And then we have, this is what I was saying about the dance videos. We had a submission come in from St. Louis, Missouri, from a dance troupe a dance company called Leverage Dance. And this is just a tremendous video. I love it so much that I'm looking forward, and I think everybody out there will look forward to seeing it. And we're also going to have Baltimore Fashion Week do a presentation, and they're going to have a discussion. And then at the end of the evening, a gentleman named TJ Harris. A lot of Pittsburghers know who that is. You know TJ.
Of course.
TJ did a tattoo fashion show for us in 2019, and then he made a movie out of it. So tonight we're going to air the movie.
That is super cool.
Cool.
That is going to be very, very great. You know,
he's such a talented.
Yeah, absolutely. But the idea of like the body being art as well, and that being a part of fashion, that was such a unique concept. I remember seeing all the photos from that. So to be able to see this as a video is going to be really interesting. Yeah. Now I know that we get to be together, which is great, John, but we are keeping our safe social distance while we're in this pandemic. And instead of this event just disappearing like so many others this year, I'm going to keep hearing Pittsburgh Fashion Week, Pittsburgh Fashion Week. There's so much going on. Can you please fill us in? How did this get so big, especially during a global pandemic?
Pittsburgh has a really great fashion community. Unfortunately, you had all these little pockets, and it was almost like a feudal territorial system. And we came in and said, please, no more of that. We'll be stronger and better if we all work together. And it's not easy, Gina, changing a mindset. It's about the great designers, the great models, the great people that are involved in fashion. And I think that formula seems to be working. I walk down the street, even in the time of pandemic, and all I'm hearing is, oh, John, we're so excited. When's Pittsburgh Fashion? I can't wait to see it. I can't wait. Emails, text messages. It's amazing. What I've been so impressed with is that now there's this interconnectedness between cities. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Sure. You know, we have a core committee. There's 12 plus my staff. There 3 of my staff, myself and 2 others. And during our core committee meeting, we said we were going to reach out to other fashion cities. But we could only, first year, we said we're going to reach out to we're going to take the first 5 on a first come, first served basis. And we would work with them, and we reached out, and we wound up getting like 12 people responding, 12 cities responding. But we can only promise 5 airtime, because that's what we had figured in. So we wound up going with 6 because Colorado wanted both Boulder and Denver. We have Baltimore, Nashville, Columbus, and Indianapolis. And what's happened is we're learning from each other. And, you know, we talk, we converse, and, oh, this person has a great idea, and wow, I didn't know that, and vice versa. It also enables the designers, the models, the musicians to get their wares out in 6 plus us 7 different markets.
That's incredible.
Yes, and we also had people like Philadelphia, St. Louis, Fashion Weeks, Washington, Portland, that all wanted to be a part of this, which they will be next year. So when this is over, we've all gotten together and we're going to create a national alliance organization.
Love it.
That will all be part of something where we'll share ideas, we'll work together. And we're announcing it now, I guess.
You hear it here first. That's amazing.
I let it slip again. I'm sorry.
No, that's great. No, that's really, it's because it's naturally and organically happening. I mean, and so much of this, in many ways, we didn't expect to be in this kind of situation. We expected the runway shows. We wanted that in so many ways. But, being that we are where we are right now, we're sitting in the Center for Media Innovation at Point Park University. And now this amazing partnership that's allowing this event to take a whole new digital capacity, because it's more than just the runway shows, and now there's Artist Alley and a film festival and so many other things. Before I even get into Artist Alley, you're right. We couldn't have done this without CMI, the Center for Media Innovation, and Point Park University. We really work well together. They are so professional, so talented, so accommodating. I'm the face, so everybody thinks it's me. It's not. It's my such a talented team. And what happened was we said, let's try to experiment this year. This is the time. So we decided we weren't going to do a runway show because we put safety first. And one of our core committee members, who's a great designer named Jim Halk, goes by the professional name James Halk. He came up with the Pittsburgh Fashion Week Film Festival. That wasn't me, that was Jim, that was the core committee. And we said, you know what, let's make it, if it works successfully, a standalone for coming years. So we thought, once again, we started so late with this that we would get 4 or 5 submissions. Got 42. Oh my goodness.
So now we turned around and we had to choose. So we made some decisions. And we're coming out with the first awards, the Kramer, it's going to be called, and it's going to be for best dance video, best film, best musical performance. So there's a lot of things that are going into this. Artist Alley, you mentioned. Mm-hmm. It's a TV magazine style show where we're doing segments not just about fashion. James Simon is a sculptor on Liberty Avenue that you see out front.
Yeah, I was very lucky to get to chat with him. That was one of my segments. That was such an amazing, I love this concept of being able to really unlock just a behind the scenes look at what the artists' lives are like, and what, they were so accommodating to really open up the studio, and we were able to take a tour. And so that's going to be a part of this week's festivities, and so much more of these different segments. You mentioned dance videos, there's going to be music, as well as the creative films. Right.
Where do you see, I know you interviewed the Velasquez sisters. How talented are they? They not only did an Artist Alley, they submitted a video where Marla Velasquez is a filmmaker. And because of social distancing, she had her sister, Lana Velasquez, who's a top model in the city, play 5 roles.
I love that.
I do too. It was like, oh my God, she's an actress. She's great. They play 5 different roles.
And so creative to take this moment and again, just be like, find a way to make it happen anyways. And the sisters, they just have such a dynamic force together. It was really great talking with them.
They are. They're so talented and they're so polite. They're just so nice. I love working with everybody. It's been a joy. So yeah, so we're trying a few different things, and we think that we're experimenting. We think it's going to work. We have a lot of content. I'm going to tell you what's going to be the hit of the show, though. In my opinion, by the way, I'm never right. So, but here's the thing: the dance videos. The dance videos blew me away. I think next year we're going to put more of an emphasis, whether it's live, which we hope the pandemic's in the rearview mirror, or if it's not and we're digital again, there'll be a larger emphasis on dance.
Love that.
I mean, oh my God, they were great. Funny story. When Christina Pacifico is our marketing director. She's more than that, but that's her title. And she said to me, "Did you see the dance videos?" And I was like, "No, I'm going to watch them tonight." And I said, "Why? What do you think?" She went, "I'm not going to say anything. You watch them." And it was smart because she didn't build up my expectation. And I was like, the first one I seen, I was like, this is going to win the Kramer. And then the second one I seen was like, oh, I don't know now. Well, guess what? There was about 5 or 6 of them that were like, we got to submit them all. We got to accept them all because one was better than the other. And guess what? There's one called PAL. It's about a gentleman who teaches dance here. I thought that was so cool.
I love that.
It was very similar to one of our artist alleys where they did a profile on him and he was cooking in his apartment. It was great. It was great. So
if you want to watch these videos, participate in the event, we want people to go to the website, correct? And follow along on social media?
PGHFW.com.
Great. Well, here we go. We're going to have an amazing week here at Pittsburgh Fashion Week 2020, and we hope that you'll tune in every day for exciting digital content at PGHFW.com.
Hey everybody, your girl Natalie Sugars, right here with another Artist Alley with fashion designer and my friend, Mr. Brian David. Brian, it's Fashion Week. Welcome, darling.
Thank you. Welcome to my studio.
Yes, we are right here at Brian's studio, which you gotta, oh my gosh, this place is no wonder. It's like evil madness genius comes alive up here, I can tell. It's, it's like the mad scientist in his laboratory. And, I love the fact, so I'm getting to wear one of Brian's designs, this fabulous dress. And it, of course, makes me feel like a secret agent. And I was telling him that, and it's true, it's just so cool. And I love Brian's dresses. I have been blessed to have been able to wear them and showcase them in a few different things we've done with the Pittsburgh Fashion Alliance and whatnot this past year, and get to know you. And now I want everyone else to get to know you the way I do, because you're incredible and you're so inspiring. And these fabulous masks, also made by Brian.
Thank you.
So let's dive in, and let's start from the very beginning. You were born with a passion for fashion, and you got your start into this innately as it just sort of came to you, and you started around the age of 5, right?
Right.
And so tell us the story about making a stocking, I do believe, for your mom.
Right. So when I was about 5 years old, this is really the first memory I have of actually sewing anything. It was around Christmas time, and I was sitting on my mom's bed, and I was making a Christmas stocking because we happened to have this fabric that looked perfect for it. So I spent all this time sewing it by hand, and I showed it to my mom, and she goes, "Brian, that's great, except you have to turn it the right side out." And I said, "What do you mean?" And she took the stocking and she flipped it inside out. And once she did that, that was when I had realized that all of your seams and your edges are supposed to be on the inside. Very hard lesson for a 5-year-old to learn.
Then from there, what inspired you to take your sole direction and start turning it into what would then later become a career?
So from there, it really progressed into making clothes for Barbies.
I love that. Who doesn't love Barbie? She can be anything.
Right. And, silent confession, I still have my Barbie from when I was a little kid.
Oh my gosh, you've got to show me that.
She has her special little place on her shelf in the studio. So yeah, I started making Barbie clothes for both of my sisters. And then that eventually turned into starting to make clothes for my younger sister.
Oh, wow. And that's so amazing. And I know that there's a really good story there. And the early days on, evolving into this more, I think your grandma was the one who really took notice of this. So you're making all these Barbie doll clothes. Then you started basically essentially stealing things from your mother's closet, what was it, tablecloths and curtains.
Anything that was essentially what could have been interpreted as fabric. My mother says to me all the time that I robbed her blind of all of her curtains and her tablecloths. So now, as an adult, I am slowly repaying that back by replacing said curtains and tablecloths. So
you would take all these things, you would turn into outfits, for your sister, but your grandma started to take notice of this.
Right.
And she was like, I think this is more than just an outlet. This is something that we should, nurture.
Right. She was really, I think, in my opinion, the first one to truly notice that what I was doing was not a phase, that it was something that could potentially be a lot more. She bought me my first dress form. She also bought me my first sewing machine.
Oh.
And she was an accountant, so she would do books for places like upholstery fabric places and different businesses. So when they would have their sample books that were no longer valid, like they discontinued that lot of fabric, she would ask them if she could have those sample books, and she would bring them home to me. And I would use those samples and turn those into things like Barbie clothes or quilts or whatever my mind decided to go at that point.
Exactly like I said earlier on, creative genius. I mean, seriously. I mean, for you to be able to do that at such a young age and to create that, from essentially like the scraps here and there that you were given and turn it into something is absolutely just mind-blowing, and just kudos to you and kudos to Grandma. I mean, grandparents are so fabulous. I mean, mine were actually very influential in my career as well, and so I think that we can all really relate to that, and that kind of led into now you become in like high school age, right? And your first official sale was during high school time.
Right.
Tell us.
So it was my freshman year of high school. A friend of mine wanted to go to prom, and she couldn't find the dress that she wanted in the stores. So I made her prom dress for her senior year.
Oh my gosh.
I still talk to her today, and she still jokes about having the original Brian David number 00000001.
Yes.
She, says, "Oh, I can't fit in it anymore, but I still have the dress," and that's something that she's never going to part with. So,
of course not. How could you? Oh my gosh! And she shouldn't. It's going to be worth a lot of money one of these days. I mean, definitely way more than what she bought it for, right? My gosh, God bless. Well, and so eventually then, so you start doing that. You tried the college thing. It just wasn't for you.
Right.
So you come back from Pittsburgh to Pittsburgh, and you got into event catering. Is that correct?
Right.
And that essentially kind of led one thing into another, that led into ultimately, you becoming connected to the Pittsburgh cultural scene, from the Benedum to, Heinz Hall to Public Theater. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I got my first experience with theater in high school. So I was the first costume coordinator for my high school. And then from there, like you had said, after I had attempted to go away to college, I was never an academic growing up. So it was a harsh reality for me to think that college was the next logical step, and to find out very quickly that it wasn't. So coming back, I had to kind of figure out what I was going to do next, knowing that a secondary education was not going to be a good fit for me. Fortunately, through doing alterations, I met somebody that got me a job working event catering out at what it was at the time, Star Lake. Mm-hmm. Then later Post-Gazette Pavilion, and I'm not even really sure what it is now.
I don't know what the kids are calling it these days. I really don't.
Right. So it was through working that job over the course of about 4 years that I eventually met a woman from the Pittsburgh Wardrobe Union. And at the time I showed her what I was calling a portfolio, which was a very small photo album filled with all the things that I had a chance to take a picture of. And again, before Vistaprint, I was making my own business cards because, we're talking 20 years ago at this point.
Sure.
Gave her my business card, and 2 years later, on my birthday, she called me and asked me if I would be interested in a wardrobe union call selling at the Benedum.
Wow.
So of course, ecstatic.
Yes.
I said, of course, yes.
Huge opportunity for a young emerging designer.
Right.
Yes.
And really my first step into actually having a job in my field.
Yes.
Because up until that point, I was having, I couldn't get anybody to take me seriously. After coming back from college, on top of working this job doing this event catering, which was amazing, by the way. I mean, how many kids are, can say if they're at 19 years old, they're hanging out backstage with John Mellencamp and Aerosmith and...
Hello.
I mean, I've met more celebrities than most people meet in their entire life in a very short time frame. I had also tried to get jobs at bridal salons, doing alterations, and several times I was directed to the bathroom. So again, breaking into this field, being a guy and being so young was very difficult because everybody always looked at me and thought, well, what could you know? Like, you really can't be serious, right?
Yeah.
So that has been my battle, or was my battle, for a number of years, just trying to prove myself that, no, really, I did know what I was talking about. And that, yes, I could hold my own with, you know, a group of women that were old enough to be my mother, and in some cases, old enough to be my grandmother.
Yes, because they're union. They work those jobs and hold on to them for a very long time, rightfully so.
Right.
So it's kind of hard to get in, but when you're in, you're in.
Right.
And you had these women, and it was, let's just be honest, it was, at that time especially, it was very stereotyped to be, okay, this is a job for a female.
Right. Right.
Talk about that a little bit.
I mean, I really sympathize with women trying to break into a lot of different industries because I feel like I experienced a lot of that same resistance. You know, they looked at it as that, well, again, you know, how much could you know? Like, what could you possibly bring to the table? You know, like, you're first of all, you're a guy. Second of all, you're in your early 20s.
Sure.
Like, what do you, like, you know?
What do you know, punk?
What do you know?
Right, yeah.
Right,
yeah.
Right. And it was about 3 years in that I feel like I had finally had my breakthrough with a large group of those women, where one of the women I was working with was having difficulty putting in a zipper, and she threw the dress down in complete disgust and said, "Oh, I just can't get this in the right way." So I eventually was able to convince her to tear the zipper out and to start over and to do it according to my instruction. When I had suggested that to her, she was, you know, exclaimed that, you know, "Oh, like, I've been selling longer than you've been alive. What do you
resisting.
Right, totally resisting. After 30 minutes of her actually following my instructions, she got the zipper in. It was perfect. All the pattern matched, the waist seam matched up, and she instantly went, "Oh my God, everybody, Brian has to teach you how to put in a zipper this way. I can't believe that I never learned how to do it this way." So.
Imagine that.
Right.
Imagine that. I mean, what a big message right there is, don't stereotype, you know, don't judge the book by the cover. You know, it's about, you know, the guts that's inside that make the great best-selling novel. And and that is exactly what that exemplifies.
Right.
So what a beautiful story. And from there, so you kind of prove yourself. But then after you prove yourself, a little show called Project Runway comes calling.
Right.
Which just gives me chills every time I think about you in New York and Project Runway. So talk to everybody about your experience with that.
So with Project Runway, at that point I was doing union jobs, and the way that union jobs work is that a show comes in and you go on what's called a union call. Now that union call can last anywhere from a couple of days up until about a month and a half. After that, you have to find work in other places in order to maintain an income. So I was still currently working at a restaurant, and at this time I was really, really sick. I had like a fever of 102, deathly ill, couldn't go into work for like a week, and it was payday, so I had went into work to go get my paycheck so I could go to MedExpress and I can actually
get yourself better and on the mend.
Get myself on the up and up. While I was sick, I was also fighting, trying to get outfits ready to take to New York to audition for Project Runway. So I go into work to get my paycheck, and this memory will forever stick in my mind because it was the last time I had stepped in a restaurant to work.
Yeah.
My boss looked at me and he goes, "Oh, I see how it is. You're too sick to come into work, but you're well enough to come in and get your paycheck." So I looked at him and I'm like, "Okay, fine, I'll stay, but if I get the whole restaurant sick, that's all on you." And as I was putting my apron on, I heard him say the words, "That's right, you effing faggot."
Wow.
And instantly that apron came back off. I looked at him and I said, "That's it, I'm done. I'm done.
Good for you.
I'm done working in this hostile environment." And I walked out. The next day, flew to New York, auditioned for Project Runway, and they told me that my clothes are well made and that there is consistent design there, but the reason why they weren't accepting me onto the show was that I didn't have enough work experience written down to be on the same level as the other people that were being considered for the show. To my response, I told them, "Well, isn't that the whole purpose of this show?
Sure enough.
Is to give exposure to the people who would not have another means to get it." And their response to me was Christian Siriano, who I'm sure most people are very familiar with, happened to be one of the judges there. And they specifically pointed him out and said, well, Christian bought a plane ticket, went to London, and on a whim tried to get an internship with such and such design studio. I don't remember which one it was.
Okay.
And at that point I was like, well, I guess you're just not going to take me. So defeated, I went home. And to give you a perspective on how long this was ago, I still had a landline.
What's that?
Right. Made it home at like 4 o'clock in the morning. And got woken up at like 8:30 in the morning by my now current boss. Answered the phone. She said, "Hi, Brian. You don't know me. My name is Marianne Crosstein. I own a studio on the North Shore, and I was wondering if you'd be interested in employment." So again,
it was like an angel calling.
Right.
Yes. What a blessing at such a low moment.
Right.
Again, there's been kind of a pattern here, right? There's been these low moments,
right,
followed up by a high moment, a low moment followed up by a high moment. So you come back from New York, you're sick, you're not feeling well, you feel defeated.
Right.
The
worrying
stuff is about to hit the fan.
Right.
Like, what am I going to do with my next move? Because the boss, you had to can the day job, right?
Right.
And the phone rings.
Right.
And it's your fashion angel, if you will. I'm going to call Marianne that in a sense,
right? Because
she kind of gave you that second wind that you needed at a very important time,
right,
in your life. And let's talk about her. I mean, Marianne and her studio and some of the amazing work and the education that she's provided and experience she's provided for you.
Right. So I have been working for Crosstein Studio for the past 12 years now. Recently I am furloughed. I never know if I'm saying that word right.
I think almost half of the world is furloughed right now, so we're all learning this together.
Right. I mean, this is new vocabulary for me.
Yes.
So due to coronavirus, I mean, I'm sure everybody's sick and tired of hearing about it, but due to coronavirus, the earliest expected date for opening for Broadway is this upcoming March.
Correct.
And that is a very hopeful prediction.
Yes.
So that puts us in a very sticky spot, because what we do at Crosstein Studio is we take a designer's two-dimensional image and turn it into a three-dimensional physical object.
Wow.
So for us, we have stuff that has graced the stage of Broadway. I have had clothes that I have worked on that are in Canada and in Ireland, Russian ballet. We did a contract for Disney. We've done a couple of movie bits and pieces. One of the highlights for me personally was I was watching Good Morning America the one day, and they were doing like a live Broadway, like, come see the show. And it was, they were showing As You Like It.
Okay.
And 4 of these outfits that I personally made, I watched tap dance across the TV.
Oh,
and I went,
wow!
Oh,
You just gave me chills. That's so cool.
That's pretty cool.
Very cool.
And then a couple of months later, I saw them again do the same thing across the stage at the Tonys. So,
oh my gosh, Bri. That is so wicked.
So it was...
No Broadway pun intended, but that's wicked.
Right. Right. And I mean, we don't get the credit for that kind of stuff. The credit goes to the actual designer, the person that came up with the concept and the idea. Seldomly, our studio will get a construction credit in the program. So we are kind of a Pittsburgh secret where we're not open to the general public. We don't advertise. So it's all through word of mouth. So that's kind of the way a lot of the industry works, especially in costumes, is that it's the people you know. It's a very kind of nepotistic business. So again, very difficult to break into.
Yes.
But something that I have been very fortunate to be able to fall into. Tell my boss all the time that, working for her, this is like getting paid to go to school. So, because every day I'm going in and I'm learning something new.
That's amazing.
Starting with Marianne, it was always, when I first started there, we definitely kind of butted heads for a while, because it took me a while to realize just how little I actually knew at that point.
Okay.
So I was asking her a lot of questions like, well, why are you doing it that way? And she would get frustrated because she would just say, just do it. Trust me, this is the way it has to be done. Just do it. Because we're faced up against a deadline. And for me, I wanted to learn. So it was like, but why? Like
it was like the 2-year-old. Why?
Right.
The sky's blue. Why?
Right.
Just
right.
it is. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Bless her heart.
That's exactly what it is.
Yes.
So, and again, bless her heart for not deciding that I was too much to handle at that time. But I really got to hand it to her for her to, really recognize that there's something more to me than just, the annoying questions of why? Well, why? Well, why?
She wanted to nurture you too because she saw the same thing that your grandma saw, 100%.
Right.
And what an amazing person to take someone in and to give them the education. I mean, to really be a role model in a sense of something that is your passion. What a wonderful opportunity. I mean, It's certainly blessed in that regard. And that kind of brings us, full circle. And we're talking about the here and the now. And you and I were chit-chatting before we did the interview, and I'm like, oh, what's new? What's shaking? And you had said the studio. And what I love about this portion of sharing this with everyone else is, especially in the times that we're in, it's how can you look at what's right in front of you that you can utilize and turn it into something that can just be way bigger and brighter than you ever really imagined. And I love that because it's really positive and inspirational. Especially now more than ever. So share with us what you've got going on now.
So as soon as the furloughding happened, one of these days I will get that word right, by the way.
I love it.
So one of the first things that happened, in addition to not only being laid off from my job, was that all of the projects that I had coming into the studio sequentially started to fail as well.
Sure enough.
Because again, a lot of my business comes from drag queens, it comes from brides, it comes from special events.
I understand. Yes.
So when your business is solely devoted and based around large groups of people willingly getting together well within 6 feet, that kind of
kissing goodbye during COVID.
Right. That kind of kills it all.
That's right.
I actually just finished a wedding dress last night. It's behind you. It's off camera, but it's behind you.
Oh, look how gorgeous. Oh, I love it.
It's nice to see that not everything has been canceled. That there are still people that are planning for the future.
Yes.
That there are future projects coming in. Prime example, the wedding dress. That just because there's, COVID going on doesn't mean that you still can't have a wedding.
Right.
That you still can't,
proceed with your life in the ways, the confines that we can.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. Things will go on. You may be wearing a mask, but
life will go on.
But things will go on.
That's right.
And that's where really masks, that's been the big thing that has really kind of saved my studio personally.
Yes.
Was being able to adapt and realize that there is going to be a need for these masks, that it's going to be a lot longer than just the next couple of months. I mean, they're talking about, there potentially being a vaccine at the earliest within the next year. Well, a mask can only last you so long, especially if you're washing it. I don't care how good that mask is made. So just because you have one doesn't mean that you're not going to need another one.
Absolutely.
And that's really where I've kind of had my saving grace with this studio, is I have just gone full out with masks and then filling in the interesting projects in between. Like example, the wedding dress.
Brian, I love it. And it is so inspiring, and it's so positive, and you always are. And so this doesn't surprise me that you've used your energy and turned it into something that's going to help other people as well as be great and fashionable, of course. So, speaking of everything you came through, so you were this, this young boy who was clearly different from the get-go. You knew who you were in your soul in many aspects, whether it be personally and your career, and you had to kind of prove yourself then. You had to kind of prove yourself up through the risings of the stereotypes and the unions and all of that. What would you say to anyone who's watching who might be, younger, where they're got their, their Barbies and their dolls and they're into fashion and they're, on the internet getting to watch this right now, or whether they're just in their teen years or early adult years, that you can share with them that would be words of wisdom to help inspire them.
I would say, know who you are and embrace that. Know that you're not alone. Know that you're not the only one that is like that. And don't give up. I mean, that's really the best advice I can give, is literally don't give up. Know that, yeah, it may be rough now, but eventually things will get better and you will find your tribe. You will find the people that will help you, and don't stop until you do. And at any point that you think in this career that there is nothing left to learn, that's when you should quit, because there's always something new to learn. There's always new things out there. There's always new techniques. And so that's one of the things that keeps bringing me back to it, is that, I learn a new method. I learn something new, some new way to manipulate a piece of fabric and make it look more amazing than when I started. So
if you're not growing, you're dying, right? That's what they say.
Right.
And so keep an open mind and a positive mind.
Right.
And love yourself.
Right.
And surround yourself with great people. And that's what I'm so blessed to have met you, from the beautiful community of fashion that we are building here in our beautiful city of Pittsburgh. And it's been an absolute joy to get to know you and to call you a friend. And I also get to wear his clothes. So I'm double lucky. All right, so from Brian and I to you, thanks for tuning in.
Hi, my name is Sharon Nixon, and I'm the founder and lead producer for Baltimore Fashion Week. And today I'm here because we have been afforded a 30-minute spotlight courtesy of Pittsburgh Fashion Week. So let's get started. Hey, Pittsburgh! Baltimore Fashion Week, a 30-minute spotlight. Baltimore Fashion Week was first born with its first season in 2008. In 2010, we celebrated our 10th season, and next year we'll be celebrating our 13th and 14th season. Baltimore Fashion Week is an annual fundraising event of the Fashion Umbrella Foundation that provides an educational and marketing platform for creatives representing the fashion and arts community. Now let's meet two of the creatives that will be showcasing next year. The first person up to the plate is Abigail Lordson Benini, label Lordson Benini. Next, we have Reginald Wilson, label Levinson. The topic for tonight will be youth education and the arts through fashion. So I have a few questions, but first, before I ask those questions, let's meet the designers or the creatives. Hi guys, how are you?
Hi.
So as you see, we have Reginald Wilson representing the label Levinson, and then we have Abigail Lordson Benini representing the label Lordson Benini. So I have a few questions for you all, and you all know how I do. So let's get started. We all know the current state of the world right now, so I won't dwell on that. But how have you been instrumental in keeping your talents and business fruitful? Whoever wants to go first, just step up to the plate.
Abigail?
With everything that's been going on in this season, I decided to actually use this season to put in more work into being more creative, into building the brand. The business side of it also kind of put more time into that, because right now you don't see a lot of people going out and putting on the fancy outfits. So this is the time that I'm like, okay, I need to put in the effort so that by the time everything, the world is open up, then we are ready to run and go. You're muted.
You're muted.
Hi, I was muted, yes. So
Yeah.
that's true for everyone who is dealing with this current pandemic, but Levinson or Reginald, I'm gonna call you Reginald.
That's fine.
You wanna tell us a little bit of how that has, if it has at all, affected your business?
In the respect that production moved a lot faster, because I have a stockpile of fabric that what I do is I go to the fabric store and I buy fabrics that I like, and I stockpile fabrics. So during the pandemic, when the kids were home and they were doing their own thing, I was in my atelier designing, sewing, working day in and day out. Sometimes I'd turn out 2 garments a day, because I didn't have a schedule that I had to adhere to. Like, okay, we had breakfast at this time, I had to get those kids to school, I had to go to the grocery store, I had to go pick them up from school. I didn't have any of those constraints. So I had a big chunk of time to really be creative and express myself through my designs. So actually, in a way, it kind of really helped me to grow my collections and experience, design from a start to finish without having to stop in the middle of a design and go pick up kids from school.
Well, it seems like that you have your hands full with children at home. And I know with Abigail, she's back in school. And that's, well, y'all know that I'm over here dealing with Fashion Week. So with the two of you, I'm just so grateful that you were able to give us just a little bit of your time tonight to be a part of this platform. So I have my second question that I like to present to you. As a creative and trendsetter of style, what is the most important business tool you use to keep your clients engaged and to attract new ones?
Ladies first.
I would say social media, but I haven't been very active on social media because I've been more into the creative. But it's more so of word of mouth and designing for friends and also wearing my own outfit, like my own design out when I go to events. That's how I get people talking like, oh, this is beautiful. Who made it? I made it myself. I'm a designer. Then that's where the conversation starts. So for me, it's more so of word of mouth, but I'm working towards using social media more because now the world is like literally on social media. So we want to get out there to the world. So we are becoming very more active now on social media.
And Reginald, I'll pose the same question to you. Do you need me to repeat it or are you good?
No. No, I'm good. So like Abigail said, social media is my main source of getting my brand out there and getting my name out there and getting my designs out there. I have a platform. It's called Next Door. And what it is it's a community-based social interactive platform that allows me to create videos. And what I do is I create videos on how to drape and how to construct and give them little tips and clues here to kind of keep them engaged. I also like to add a little humor in there. And they absolutely love that. And actually, when I started 2 years ago, I started with a following of 5. And now I have 1,000 of my neighbors in this area who actually follow and comment. And when they see me out in public, they're like, that's Reggie. Hey, from Designing with Reggie. So, and they approach me in the fabric store and they have questions. They ask me questions and troubleshooting. And I always say, Sharon, I talk to you quite a bit. And my philosophy is design is 25% of your work and troubleshooting and problem solving is 75% of your work. And what I mean by that is how are you going to construct this? What steps are you going to do to complete your finished product? And that's what I do with my viewers. I take them through these processes so they can understand, oh, okay, this is why he did this first and not last. So I've got a really huge response from that platform.
That's really good.
So we're going to shift a little bit here. So Abigail, would you like to bounce off a little bit about what Reggie just said?
Yeah, what he said is very valid. Like, there's one thing I've learned is like the way you sew garments also depends on the finishing of the garments, depend on how you start it. When you start it the wrong way, finishing it will become a bit difficult. So like, just like you said, 25% is just the design. And the 75% is more so of how you're gonna sew it so that when it come out, it looks like luxury, it looks expensive. So yeah, I agree with that. And most of the time when I'm sewing, before I even touch the sewing machine, I've already sewn it in my head. Or what the first step, the next step, before I even touch the fabric.
So Reginald, do you do the same thing? I can sew, I know how to sew, keep something together, but it's not on the level of you two. So when you first started your creative pathway into the universe, how hard was it for you to actually begin that pathway? And then when you started, did you think you made a mistake?
Never. I never thought I made a mistake. And I've always dreamed of becoming a fashion designer. It's always been in me. And where I am in my career, where I am in my construction, I should have been doing this, and the products that I'm turning out, I should have been doing this for at least 20 years. Because the things that I complete, and I stand back and I look and I'm going, how did I do this? How am I able to do this with no formal instruction? You know, and it's a God-given gift. And I believe that God touches me, he touches my hands, and he guides my hands. And I had a viewer from next door who said she likes to watch my draping videos because it's like a conductor conducting an orchestra. She said, my hands move so smoothly across the muslin and using the pens and markings and making my notes on the drape. She said it is just, she enjoys watching the draping aspect more so than the construction part, because she's like, how is he getting this fabric to do this? Mm-hmm. And it's a God-given talent. And I really do believe that I was always meant to do this. I just didn't have a platform or the support or the encouragement to do this, because like a little black boy growing up in the South, Sharon, you know, a little black boy in fashion, that's a no-no, especially in a small town in Mississippi. So that was always on the back burner, but it's always been in me. And I want to take a little bit more time, Sharon, and explain something to you. As a black man from the South who loves fried chicken, who loves fried pork chop, who loves ribs, who loves collard greens, who loves fried okra, who loves fried green tomatoes. I have high blood pressure, and I have hypertension, and I have my stress level is always through the roof. And I think I mentioned this to you a couple of months ago. I went to my doctor, and we're about to take me off of my blood pressure medicine because my blood pressure is so low. And her response was, this is what was in you that was trying to get out, and you didn't let it get out. So this is a way for you to release all the stressors in your life. And she said, you had this bottled up inside of you for so long, it was time for it to burst out. And I have to attest designing to that, because she is right, because she couldn't come up with a rational explanation why I went from extremely, almost hospitalization for high blood pressure to, low blood pressure, where she has to take me off of my medication. And she says the only thing that she can see that has changed in my life is the fact that I've started fashion design. And she said she can pinpoint the exact time, which is amazing. I mean, think about that. She can pinpoint the exact time that I started really engaging in fashion design, because that's when my blood pressure took a plunge. Oh, and wow. She was like, that is amazing. So it's kind of like my yoga.
So Abigail, do you have a blog as well?
A blog? I don't have a blog yet. I've been thinking about starting either like a YouTube channel or like a what's it called? Like a virtual school where I can teach people how to go and design. So I'm working on that. I don't want to add that to my plate right now. So
it's a lot of work. Trust me.
Yes, it is. I want to get one thing off before I add one more. So yeah.
So now I have another question I like to pose. Most creatives tend to follow the same style aesthetic. Explain to our viewers your creative aesthetic and if you alter them.
For me, I feel like my aesthetic is more so of comfort, classy, and also sexy. It's the mix of all three. Where I want something that will always look beautiful and sexy on my client, but at the same time, I want them to feel comfortable. So if it doesn't feel comfortable, then we're not doing it. But if you know you're going to be comfortable in what we are making, then yes. It's more, I don't have like a specific style yet that will say, okay, I see this style and this is House Lotin Banini. But we are getting there. Right now, it's just more so of the client feeling comfortable, sexy, and beautiful.
So, Reginald, do you have, and I know, and let me, before you respond, Reginald, I think that it's important as a creative that you are able to be versatile in your design aesthetic.
Right.
I think that if you just stay within this one box, that you limit yourself for open areas of creativity and also to bring in new clients per se. Reginald, would you like to respond to that?
I do, Sharon, and I'm so glad that you posed that question.
Right.
And because that is a very important question, because when you see design shows, one of my biggest pet peeve is people are asking, well, who's your client?
Mm-hmm.
Who are you designing for?
Mm-hmm.
Well, do I have to have a specific person or type of person that I'm designing for? No, because that person is one, maybe two or three people who come into the store, and those are the only people that are going to buy your garments.
Right.
So you have to have a range of aesthetics. Now, when you talk about aesthetics and you ask, what is your aesthetic? My aesthetic is Southern fare with a modern flair. And what that means is I'm a Southern boy. And my inspiration and my drive comes from growing up in the church, seeing my mother get dressed for church, seeing her put on her suits and her hats and her jewelry and putting her shoes on, and how she chose to mix and match different things. It came from my sisters. I have 4 sisters. Robbie Bowman, who's the sister that I'm as closest to because she's as close to me in my age, we kind of grew up together, and I can remember her wearing high-heeled shoes to high school. And me thinking, okay. I mean, she was always into fashion. She always wanted to look good. She always wore hose. She always wore heels. If she was going out, she was wearing high heels, period. No ifs, no ands, no buts about it. But the interesting thing about my design aesthetic, I say Southern fare with a modern flair. This is what a lot of people don't realize. A lot of the Southern women from the South, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida is not really considered South, but it is. Louisiana, Texas, a lot of those silhouettes and fashion influences come from the South. And what they do is they take it and they modernize it and make it young, fresh, and hip for what decade it is, which is what I love to do. And my signature, of course, you know, I love drama. Love drama in fashion. Drama, drama, drama. I love a big voluminous sleeve.
Yeah.
I love a big skirt. I love, love, love big collars and big shawl collars and big lapels. I love those things. And those are actually straight out of the 70s. You know, the big wide lapels, the big sleeves, the big skirts come, you know, from the South, all of those things. But there's a way that you can take it and adapt it to different types of people, different types of women. You know, you can take a basic silhouette and come up with 4 or 5 different looks that are completely different, that appeals to the masses.
Right. And that's true. You have to be able to diversify, and diversify equals quantification of your collection, so that as a creative, you can remain vibrant during any time, not just the current situation we're in, but anytime. So I have one more question, and then we're going to talk about the lovely garments behind you. I'm so excited. So here is your final question, boys and girls. If you were able to sit down and have a one-on-one conversation with your younger self at the age of 17, what would you discuss? And Reginald, we're going to have you to answer first, and then Abigail, you'll be next.
Okay.
Do it. Do it. Forget what everybody else says. Do it. Pursue your dream. And don't stop until you get there. And that's my advice. Do it.
Abigail? Well, no, there's anything else left for anyone else to say.
Right. If I should be sitting with my 17-year-old self, I'll say, take some time and figure it out. Take some time to figure out what you really want, what you're really passionate about, and then go for it. And don't look back. Don't try to please people, because no matter what you do, no one will be satisfied. But just make sure you're fulfilled and you're happy. That's it.
Oh my God, it's so cool. Yes, Reginald, you have your hand raised.
It has taken me, I am 49 years old next month. And I started my career 2 years ago.
It's never too late.
And what's coming out of my hands, I don't know. It's in me. And you ask, what would you say to your 17-year-old self? And I said, do it. Do it. Don't let nothing stand in your way. Do it. And I don't mean to break down, but it's because of my husband, it's because of the Umbrella Foundation that I'm able to sit here and say, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And it's been in me. And I want to thank the Fashion Umbrella Foundation. I want to thank Baltimore Fashion Week for giving me the platform to be able to voice my opinion and show my vision of who I am as a person and as an individual, and that I do matter. It doesn't matter what anybody else says. I do matter. I do have a voice in this world. I have a voice in this industry. And it's because of the Umbrella Foundation that I have that voice now. And people are standing up and taking note of that. They're going, wait a minute, what? Yes, it's because of the Fashion Umbrella Foundation that I'm allowed to have a platform. And I thank the Fashion Umbrella Foundation and Baltimore Fashion Week for not just nudging me into this industry, but pushing me over the edge and say, you're going to either sink or swim. And I swam. And I thank you for that. Sorry. I felt it needed to be said.
Not really that.
Just to add on.
I will push you. Yes.
Did I make you cry?
A little bit, because it just took me back. What I'll add on to that is, don't be afraid to do it. Because for a long time, I started this since 2014, right? But I started off with like making peplums and all of that, where I was doing fashion shows with some other designers. And they were urging me, go ahead and start making garments. But I was so scared of like doing the wrong thing that it kept me back. I should have probably known, if not in the whole of Baltimore already, because the people that I started with are well known even across the whole US. And it was that fear of not getting it right that has kept me back. But with the COVID and everything going on, I just asked myself, if I should die today, what am I leaving behind? Am I dying with my gift, or I'm leaving it for the world? So that's one thing actually that has pushed me to get out of my fear and then do it. So yes, don't be afraid. Just get up, do it, and don't look back.
Abigail, you're not going to get it right all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it right all the time.
Right.
I've torn up more garments than I've made.
Yeah.
You're not going to get it right. But you know what?
Mm-hmm.
That's how you learn.
Right.
By not getting it right,
mm-hmm.
by making mistakes, you know what not to do now.
Right.
So embrace those mistakes, because that's how you grow as not just a designer, but as a person,
right.
Professionally, mm-hmm. and personally, and as an artist.
Right.
You have to make those mistakes to grow.
And sometimes those mistakes actually make a beautiful garment.
It does. And you turn out and say, I didn't mean to do that. How did that? Now, if I tried to do that, it wouldn't have done that.
Well, it wouldn't do that. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah.
You too. I can't. I can't, and I will not. Okay.
And we just met today.
He's a storyteller, people. Don't believe him. So, Abigail, let's talk about the garment behind you in the few minutes that we have left.
Yeah.
Do you want to bring it closer to the camera?
Ready? Okay. So
I love this dress. I want it in a size 14.
No worries, I got you.
And thank you. Plus size producer here, please and thank you. Okay.
No problem.
And proud of it.
Yeah, this is one of my looks for my new collection coming out, the Genesis collection. The inspiration is more so of gowns that you can wear on the red carpet, you can wear as a reception, wedding reception outfit, to those big events when COVID is gone. So that was my inspiration. And I like the volume in the bottom, always trying to show up the woman figure. So that tells the hip. And the top here, I use this blue chiffon fabric because when you look closely in the fabric, it has a blue in it.
Oh yeah.
And it's that same shade of blue that I got for this. Funny enough, I didn't even look at it when I ordered it. It came and I paired it. I was like, perfect. It's going together. So this is most of 99% done because I'm going to add something else to this side, which is on the way. And this is the back. It has a bit of a low back. This when I said earlier that mine is more so sexy, comfortable, and classy. The whole body is covered, but you can see a bit of the back and a little bit of the front, which is around the shoulder. You're not showing too much. And you still look beautiful when you walk in. You meet it.
You did again. Okay.
Again.
Beautiful. I love to repeat myself. So people, this is how things go in live TV. Reginald, you want to talk about your garment behind you?
Yes, I do. But before I do this, I need to preface it by saying that I'm self-taught and I study all the time. So right now I'm studying decades, and the decade that I'm studying is 1960s mod. So I really like this decade, and what I was trying to do is take the silhouettes and the ideas of mod, and we're going to walk over here so you can see what I'm talking about. In the 1960s, they dropped the waistline and they raised the hemline. And it's an asymmetrical, it's an A-line dress, if you can see. This is typical mod. Well, what I decided to do was to make two pieces. This is actually two pieces. This is a skirt. It has a zipper. It has a zipper on the side where she can get in it. And to bring it up to date, I added cutouts on the shoulder. I cut the shoulders out so it wouldn't literally read I went to Salvation Army and saw this and had to have it. Not that that's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. But I wanted it to read like you could walk into Macy's or Lord & Taylor and see this. And if you can see the top, it has a buckle right here. It's really fun. And this is the back. It's really cool. I love how it fits. So it's keeping in mind with the 1960s, the A-lines figure with the dropped waist, but the raised hem. And I just cut the shoulders out to make it a little bit youthful and wearable today.
I love the cold shoulder.
Thank you. I love a lady's shoulder. Speaking of shoulders, I just went out.
You just went to what?
No, you didn't. You're fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh no, you're fine. Am I muted? Okay, Lord Jesus. Okay. So this comes to the end of our 30-minute spotlight, compliments of Pittsburgh Fashion Week. I'd like to thank Abigail Lordson Benini, and she will be showcasing in August of 2021 here in Baltimore during Baltimore Fashion Week. And also the event sent by Reginald Wilson. He will be showcasing in Baltimore Fashion Week in August and during New York Fashion Week through the designer debut in September of 2021. So he's doing 2 collections. So kudos to that man right there. So my name is Sharon Nixon. I am the founder and lead producer for Baltimore Fashion Week. Again, I like to thank Pittsburgh Fashion Week for this opportunity, and I will see you on the runway. Take care.
My mind, or at least you never should. We were just killing time before we knew where we stood. Why do I rewrite history? The world is in my hands. I hear as rotten as you were. You're twice so as a man. And they say every dollar bill has traces of cocaine, and you have to trace your steps after too much cheap champagne. New Year's Day at 22 with a throbbing in your veins. They said nothing about the traces you leave running round my brain. When I saw you years later, you looked just a little less cool. I showed you my pregnant belly. You showed me your new tattoos. You said you'd married last June. I pretended I hadn't heard, and there was never much to say. It's hard to have a way with words. And they say every dollar bill has traces of cocaine, and you have to trace your steps after too much cheap champagne. New Year's Day at 22 with a throbbing in your veins. They said nothing about the traces you leave running round my brain. over memory sometimes falls behind. And they say every dollar bill has traces of cocaine, and you have to trace your steps after too much cheap champagne. New Year's Day at 22 with a throbbing in your veins. They said nothing about the traces you leave running round my brain. Oh, they said nothing about the traces you leave running round my brain. Oh, they said nothing about the traces you leave running round my brain.
Hello, Pittsburgh Fashion Week. My name is Molly Alphabet, and I'm here with my friends Teal Fitzpatrick, Trish Imbronio, and Danny Rechtenwald. And we are going to play some original tunes for you. We put out an album last summer. Most of these are from there. This first one is called Naked in the Eyes of the Lord.
If you like perfect singing, then you damn sure won't like mine. But if you like pretty good rhythm, baby, I have got the time. If you wanna go out dancing, honey, that would be just fine. Or I've got a big old comfy couch and a big old box of wine. And now I'm naked in the eyes of the Lord, and the Lord likes what he sees. I'm gonna go downtown, I'm gonna shake it around. I'm buzzing like a honeybee. Ain't nobody else in the whole wide world that wants to hang out with me. But I'm looking at you and you're looking too good to be true. If you want a great big wedding, baby, that sounds just divine. Or it's you and me and Elvis in a Vegas conga line. We'll march up and down the strip to the California line. All the happy people joining in, just keeping perfect time. And now I'm naked in the eyes of the Lord, and the Lord likes what he sees. I'm gonna go downtown, I'm gonna shake it around. I'm buzzing like a honeybee. Ain't nobody else in the whole wide world that wants to hang out with me. But I'm looking at you and you're looking too good to be true. Oh, maybe I should pay attention to the way I look when I leave my house. Yeah, maybe I should pay attention to the way I look when I leave my house. Yeah, maybe I should pay attention to the way I look when I leave my house. Oh, maybe I should pay attention to the way that I look when I leave my house. Oh, the rum punch at this baby shower's got me feeling fine. It's 2 p.m., it's me again, I've got you on my mind. Let's you and me start living, babe, if you can find the time. I'll tell you all about it if I get you on the line. And now I'm naked in the eyes of the Lord, and the Lord likes what he sees. I'm gonna go downtown, I'm gonna shake it around. I'm buzzing like a honeybee. Ain't nobody else in the whole wide world that wants to hang out with me. But I'm looking at you and you're looking too good to be true. Yeah, we're looking much too good to be true. One, two, three, four. Tonight against my better mind, think I'm gonna get in line and go downtown. You know where to find me, there standing done this 1,000 times. What's one more? Tonight's the night we get it right and finally find out how the whole thing ends. Yeah, tonight I am not drinking, baby, don't you know this beer is just a prop. Prop me up in the corner with my arm upon the jukebox, let it rock. Tonight I am not drinking, baby, don't you know this beer is just a prop. Just one more if you buy, and then we'll try and run the whole thing from the top. Call out the dancing bears, go ahead and move the chairs, places now. Cue the fight between the guys I used to think I'd like to take me home. Neither one can land a blow, looks more like a dance, you know it all too well. Looks nothing like the movies, yeah, but don't you know we're trying hard as hell. Yeah, tonight I am not drinking, baby, don't you know this beer is just a prop. Prop me up in the corner with my arm upon the jukebox, let it rock. Yeah, tonight I am not drinking, baby, don't you know this beer is just a prop. Just one more if you buy, and then we'll try and run the whole thing from the top. And we've been microdosing alcohol since 2003. Now be microdosing alcohol when you lay eyes on me. Yeah, tonight I am not drinking, baby, don't you know this beer is just a prop. Prop me up in the corner with my arm upon the jukebox, let it rock. Yeah, tonight I am not drinking, baby, don't you know this beer is just a prop. Just one more if you buy, and then we'll try and run the whole thing from the top. Yeah, just one more if you buy, and then we'll try again until the curtain drops.
I wanted to do Nashville Fashion Week because I guess one of the colleges in town was doing a series. They had Marsha moderating it, and she was asking me these questions, and I was like, she knows what she's talking about. They're the real deal. That was really my first interaction at all with anyone from Nashville Fashion Week. This year, going to the Hutton, I don't know, it was just kind of like fabulous and glitzy and glamorous. It's just a well put on, well done event. I'm excited to be a part. I mean, this city I feel like has got so much, I don't know, like creative electricity. I don't know, there's kind of like something in the air that also makes you feel a little bit more energized. It's hard for me to wrap my mind around how much of a Nashville's so it or whatever, but we're like a real city. I don't know, we're not all showing up in our jeans and cowboy boots. This is a fashion-y town.
My name is TJ Harris, and for the past 20 years of my life, I've been hosting events all over the country. Tattoos have always been counterculture, a sign of rebellion that has rarely been seen on the runway. The Fashion of Flesh turns the fashion industry on its head by modeling one-of-a-kind tattoos in a one-of-a-kind event. On October 2nd, 2019, almost 30 local models displayed the ink that makes them unique in an open gallery viewing, before taking the stage for the first time as runway showpieces, adorned by the fashion stylings of some of Pittsburgh's hottest designers.
Do it.
What's up? My name's Annika Ignazi, and I run Oh Baby. I'm 22 years old. I've been in business for 2 years, and I started by painting on a shirt, actually my dad's old shirt. I reached out to a bunch of people because I really I dropped out of college actually, and I didn't really know anybody in Pittsburgh that was an artist or even in that field. So I researched a little and found this gentleman named James Houck, and we met for coffee. And I just wanted to get some advice or I don't know, any feedback on my first hand-painted item. And coincidentally, he was making a fashion show, creating a fashion show that was to go on a month later, and he liked my shirt and asked me to be a part of the fashion show. At that point, I didn't even know what to do because I was just kind of doing it for fun, and he asked me to do 8 separate looks, top to bottom, and so I did that, and it was really cool because the first fashion show I was ever in was on January 20th, which is actually my birthday, and I turned 20 years old. So it's kind of a good sign, and ever since then I haven't really looked back. So the Fashion of the Flesh fashion show was actually the first time I had dressed an entire cast of tattooed awesome people, and yeah, I just know that if you're wearing art on your body, you're probably likely you'll like this crazy funky stuff. So I went really bold. I did big baggy t-shirts that were actually sort of like dresses with a bunch of sequins on the back. There was a fur trim, and I airbrushed everything into like my faces, and I used dark black outlines. And yeah, I just went really funky and crazy because I figured they would rock it, and they did. It was awesome. Oh, and I did some see-through pants too that were pretty fun. And it showed all her tattoos on her legs, so that was really cool.
Martin Hildebrandt set up a permanent tattoo shop in New York City in 1846 and began a tradition of tattooing sailors and military servicemen from both sides of the Civil War. This trend mirrored the cultural beliefs that inspired Polynesian tattoos to show loyalty and devotion.
Yeah, we did Fashion of Flesh last year, right. But there's not going to be any events for Fashion Week this year. Right. So one of the things that they decided to do was they're doing a film festival. And I was like, they can make a fucking film.
When you preach about it, everyone that's up, got a belt of bullet. You don't have no gun, just a boat fashion. Got no thoughts of your own. Just a boat fashion. Got no thoughts of your own.
It's more than aesthetic. It's something that you got to talk to the client and figure out. They might not even know, but you sort of push them towards figuring out what their style is. You can tell a lot by what they're wearing all the time, obviously. So you can sort of play off that, and obviously he's into darker related imagery, music, all the good stuff. So
and use me as an example for a candy addiction. You can use me as an example for a candy addiction.
Hi, I'm Gracie Schwartz, and I run Hip at the Flashlight Factory. We were the venue for last year's Fashion of the Flash fashion show. So how the whole idea came to be is that my brother actually started a tattoo shop in our building and named Brick and Mortar. And we were just trying to come up with different ideas of how to get their name out there, how to get things started. So TJ and I sat down one day, just started, spitballing ideas at each other, and we came up with the Fashion of the Flesh because this is our art. This is what we wear every single day of our lives. So to be able to truly showcase that and show other people's artwork was very cool to us. We wanted to be very inclusive with body positivity and people of color and stuff like that, because, you know, we're all tired of seeing the exact same thing being represented. They don't represent us, or people that look like us. So I think when TJ and I finally sat down and talked about it, the idea came together in hours. I was actually blown away by how fast TJ had taken a little tiny conversation that we had and made it a whole-blown event within hours of it. He was already on the board of everything, and it just sort of started rolling from there. So him and I both started reaching out to different people that we knew to talk to get involved. His friend Annika, who does Ooh Baby, is so talented, and she's opening her own shop in Millvale, I heard. Suze Pisano is just a legend. We are not worthy to be in her presence. She's absolutely incredible.
You have to say 3, 2, 1.
All right, ready?
Hi, I'm Suze Pisano. I'm a costume designer and designer. I predominantly work with dancers, so choreography inspires me and just the art of movement. I love flowy, I love fabric, and I grew up in a bridal industry, so I also love really fancy, fussy fabrics.
Today, tattooing is recognized as a legitimate art form that attracts people of all walks of life and both sexes. Each individual has his or her own reason for getting a tattoo: to mark themselves as a member of a group, to honor loved ones, to express an image of themselves to others, or in our case, to represent their own unique fashion stylings for the people and city that surrounds them.
Really give it up for TJ, please.
Thank you, everybody. I'm gonna let Samurai Velvet take over. Please hang tight. The bar's back up, and you guys are welcome to stay and drink.
The bar is open. Come get me a drink. Bye.
That's right.
When you preach about it, everyone that's up, got a belt of bullets. You don't have no gun, just a boat fashion. Got no thoughts of your own, just a boat fashion. Got no thoughts of your own. Such an anarchist, at your all-day protest. Nothing can ever change when you're just like the rest. Just a boat fashion. Got no thoughts of your own. Just a boat fashion. Got no thoughts of your own. And the policeman that you won't conform, but you're just like him. Wear uniform, just a boat fashion. Got no thoughts of your own. Just a boat fashion. Got no thoughts of your own. Ah, you're a fashion punk, 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 fashion punk.